Hey, welcome everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'll give everyone just a few minutes to jump in and join us this February 28th. Tomorrow we get an extra day. How about that? It's leap year. Um this is not the last day of the month as it typically is, but anyway, just as everyone is joining, looks like I'm going to go ahead and check our tech here, and it looks like we are streaming live on Facebook now, on LinkedIn and YouTube. So we're all connected. As you are joining me, if you will leave a hello in the comments and let me know where you're joining from. And guys, for those of you who are catching this on the replay, if you have any questions or comments you want to ask, I just ask that you use hashtag replay so that I'll know that you're watching this on the replay. And also, if you have a question you want to ask me, if you will tag me in it, that way I will get a notification that there's a question and make sure to come back and answer any questions that you may have. And for you who are watching on Facebook, if you have not done this already, I need you to go to streamyard.com/Facebook and give Facebook and StreamYard permission to speak to each other. So if you've done it before on whatever device you're watching on, then great. If not, what's going to happen is if you leave me a comment, it's just going to say Facebook user, and that's always kind of odd and uncomfortable because I don't know who I'm talking to. So it's streamyard.com/Facebook. And so, as always, if I am new to you and you are new to me, let me introduce myself. My name is Beverly Smith. I'm the founder of Career Success Strategies. I'm also the former owner of a staffing and recruiting firm, so I know firsthand what hiring managers are looking for, and I'm using that knowledge to help mid and senior level professionals build their resumes, go through their job search, help them and support them along the way so that they can land the career of their dreams. Now, let's just go ahead and jump in. Last week, we talked all about job boards and the frustration that so many of you are having on why you're not landing interviews. And it's just a really good episode packed with a lot of good information. If you missed that, you can go back to my YouTube channel, which is at Beverly Smith Resumes, and catch the replay there. And please do that. You may want to bring a pen and paper with you and take some notes because there's a lot of good information. But today we're going to continue our talk on job search and talk about uncovering some hidden jobs. And one of the best ways to do that is through networking. And I really specifically today want to dive into mistakes that I see people making when they are networking in their job search. And I want to help you avoid those mistakes. So, networking is such a great way to uncover or to find those jobs that are not advertised, as I said already. And just kind of on a personal note, my husband used to work for a company and he was transferred quite frequently. And so, as a trailing spouse, it was always a bit of a challenge to find a job. But what's kind of cool is almost all of my positions I found as a result of networking. And the same is true of other opportunities that I've also been a part of throughout the years. And what's funny is kind of back then, I probably didn't realize I was networking, but I was. And it just, I don't ever remember like, looking at, well, I'm just going to go ahead and date myself at the classifieds to find a job. Um, Most of them, like I said, came as a result of networking. So, with that, I think that, I know from personal experience that networking is a great strategy. So the deal is though, your time is really valuable and job searching is a time-consuming process. So I want to make sure that you make the most out of all of your networking efforts and want to talk to you today about how to avoid those mistakes. So, um, just real quick, I check in the comments before I jump in. I don't see anyone here. So if you've got one and you have comments along the way, again, leave those in there. So the first mistake, though, that I see people making is not having a strategy or a game plan. Now, y'all, seriously, like if you're planning a vacation, you would not wait until the first day of your vacation to make your travel and your lodging arrangements, right? The same is really true with networking. You don't just throw something up there randomly and hope that it sticks. So it's really important as part of your strategy that you know who you're targeting and what your goal is. I think it's really important, and I recommend that you maybe start networking with the peers in your industry and start trying to set up informational interviews with them. And so when you do this, let's say you reach out on LinkedIn to them and you want to set up that informational interview, it's really important that you don't send them a rambling, long, vague, direct message. You want to craft a clear and concise message that also has a call to action. So, in other words, it tells them exactly how to respond so they don't have to assume that, um, you know, what it is you're trying to ask them to do. And this is also going to make that easier for them to take action. It's going to be really clear. You're just going to let them know, hey, I would like 20 minutes of your time. If we could have maybe a virtual coffee chat, or if they're local and you want to meet them at a coffee shop, but just, 20 minutes, and keep it simple, make it easy for them to respond to that. In addition, it's really important that you're consistent with this. So it's a mistake if you just like, oh, I'm going to network a little bit here and then, oh, that's not working, and I'll come back. And no, you've got to be consistent. I'd like to see you send 5 messages every day. Not everyone's going to respond to you, but that's okay. Just trust the process that the right ones will. And be consistent, show up every day, send out those messages, and again, make them clear and concise. Another tidbit I read recently, and I would just assume that you would do this, but make sure you use their name. When you're reaching out to them, you don't just send them a message without saying, hey, would you do this for me? Introduce yourself, be direct about why you're there, and use their name. Okay. Second mistake is asking them to help you get a job and making this informational interview, all this networking session that you're having with them, all about you. You are not there to ask them to get you a job. You are there to learn more about them, the work that they do, the company they work for, the industry. It's a way for you to gain firsthand information from someone who's working in your target role, or the company that you want to work for, or in the industry you want to be in. And it's a great way to gain insight from their own personal experience. So additionally, what you're doing is you're building rapport and you're building trust with them. And by doing this and taking this type of approach, they might be more willing to either recommend you or to refer you to someone that may be hiring for a position that you're looking for. So here's a little secret. People love to talk about themselves. And when you give them that space to tell their story, their career story, they feel seen and they feel heard. And guess what this does? This builds the know, like, and trust factor, because they feel like you're really listening to them. Now, so not only are you getting some really great information from them, but you're building that rapport and you're making them trust you, and you're developing this relationship so that they will be willing to refer you. Um, so, the third mistake is not being prepared. Don't approach these informational interviews, these informational networking sessions, not knowing what you're going to talk about, not having looked through it. You want to, when it comes to preparation, you want to learn as much about them as possible. So you want to look at their LinkedIn profile. You want to make sure you've looked at their company's LinkedIn profile and their company's website, and just really try to learn as much about them as possible. And then the other thing you want to do is you want to have questions prepared in advance. You want to make the most time of make the most of your time and of theirs. So preparation is going to be really key here. And also keep in mind too, some people, it's just really easy to talk to, and there's that dialogue that just naturally flows. But then there's going to be those people that it's just like pulling teeth. It's just really hard to get them talking. And so when you've got those questions already prepared, they act as great prompts to help keep that conversation flowing and moving. And it's going to help you to also get the information you need. And hopefully, as you continue through the conversation and the nature of the questions you're asking, they'll loosen up and they will feel more comfortable in speaking with you if you've got one of those people that just, it just doesn't flow very well. So I've got a list of some sample questions that I think would be important for you to start with. And so you can ask them how they got their start in their field, what led them here, and why did they choose this field. You can ask them, what do they like or dislike the most about the work that they do, or the company, or the industry, just any of those. Give them space. Let them really talk about that, um, and things may arise that are, can prompt you to ask more probing questions. So it'll really give you a good feel for how satisfied they are with their job. Another one is, what are the most in demand skills for someone in your field? Would be a great question. Or if you're in this field yourself, you might want to make this a dialogue and share your perceptions and ask them what they think. Same thing with industry trends. What trends do you see in the industry? Or you could say something like, what's your thoughts on the XYZ trend that it seems like it's popping up everywhere in our industry? And let them talk about it, and then just ask probing questions. Are there any other trends that you think are really standing out right now? What value do they bring? Those kinds of questions. You might ask them what a typical day or a typical week looks like for them. And you could also ask about projects that they might be working on, um, and get them to talk a little bit more about the work that they actually do, or how it relates to their industry, so you can find out more about that industry. Um, Another thing that would be a great question is, you can ask them what their experience was like when they interviewed for their job. What what was the process like? Did they have to go through a recruiter? Did they meet directly with the hiring manager? Was it a team interview? Those kinds of things. Let them talk about what that process was like. And there's a lot you can find out. And what's really kind of interesting about this is, when you know this information, it's going to help you should you be asked to interview for that company. Then you'll be a little bit better prepared, or you'll know how to prepare for that interview. Um, you might also ask them something as simple as, what other questions do you think I should be asking you? um, because they may have come to this informational interview prepared to talk about something that you haven't even brought up. And so giving them the space to talk about any of those things is great. You may pick up some things that you didn't even expect to pick up. Another question, and I would always leave with something like this, as you're wrapping up, is, who else should I speak to in our industry? Or, is there anyone that you think I need to be talking to? And that's without asking for a job, that may be asking for a referral. And you may, by positioning this question last too, hopefully you've built up that know, like, and trust factor with them so that they're kind of thinking, oh, yeah, you really need to talk to Joe over at ABC Company. I heard that they might be looking, or he may be able to point you more in the right direction on this particular position. So, those are just some good questions. And if you didn't catch all those and you want to write those down, you can catch this replay over on YouTube at Beverly Smith Resume. So, let me just double check and see if we've got any questions. No questions so far. Okay, great. I hope that this information is helpful. And if it is, give me a thumbs up in the chat. We're going to move on and talk about our fourth mistake, and that is failing to follow up. And really, this is kind of threefold here. Always, guys, when you go on a informational interview with someone, or you have a meeting with someone that's networking in nature, make sure that you send a thank you note afterwards and just thank them for their time that they spent with you, and you might pull out any key points that they made that you found were really helpful. You can do this with a quick email. You can also, if you have an address, you can send a quick handwritten thank you note, which really can make a nice impression. But either way, thank them and get that sent off just as soon as possible after your meeting. Along those lines, we talked about who else should I talk to. If they promise to make a connection for you, don't assume, y'all, that they're going to remember, or assume that they're blowing you off, that they're avoiding you. Life gets busy. And, if they haven't sent over that contact information immediately, mm, it's okay for you to follow up. You might wait a week and then just follow up with a phone call or an email or just even a direct message on LinkedIn. Just a week later, rekindle the conversation and show your continued interest and appreciation, and let them know that you're looking forward to that connection that they promised you. And that'll just trigger their memory, and it's a nice way to stay in touch. They may also have thought of something else that's come up that they can share with you as well. And finally, the other thing is, this is a mistake for you to avoid, and how you can do that when it comes to following up is, once you get hired, reach back out with a quick note to anyone that you networked with and let them know where you landed. Thank them for their time again. Thank them for their assistance. And more importantly, this is a great opportunity for you to say, hey, if I can be a help to you in the future, please, please let me know. I'm always happy to help you. And I'm just so grateful for everything you did. So I hope that these were helpful, and would love to know what you is your greatest takeaway. If you've got one you can just drop that in the comments. And again, if you're catching this on the replay, use hashtag replay and let me know what your biggest takeaway is. And I want to take a second and tell you too that I think that networking is just one of the biggest and most important ways to find your job. If you're using the job boards, we talked about that last week. There is a chance that you're going to, hit a dead end if that's the only way that you are looking for work. And so reaching out to those people that you know and telling them specifically what you're looking for, as well as reaching out to those industry peers. There's just so many great things about networking that are going to be helpful to you. And I also want to share with you, and let me grab this link real quick and put in here. But I had the opportunity to co-author a book recently called Brewing Success, and it's a job seeker's guide to networking. And I'm going to drop that link in the comments on how you can get your copy. I can't remember exactly how many of us. Dr. Janine Bennett is the main author that brought us all together. And not only that, but she created a companion guide to go along with this book. So we all wrote a chapter, and my chapter is on networking etiquette. And I would love for you to grab the book. There's an ebook available if that's more your style, or if you're like me and you want to have that physical copy, then it's over on Amazon and you can grab that link and go and get yours today. If you do, I have a huge favor to ask. I would love for you to post a picture holding the book, and I would be holding my copy right now, except for I don't get it until later this week. But post a picture of you holding the book, or just the book itself, and tag me in it, and put that on either Facebook or on LinkedIn, or even I'm on Instagram. You can put it on there as well. So I'd love to see that. And just appreciate you guys so much for um, um, buying the book. I understand as of today, we are number 7 in our category of bestsellers. So excited about that. We have given you a lot of information today, and I hope that you found this really helpful. Next week, I will be back with a guest. We'll be bringing Misty Hurd back. I'm so excited. She's with Robert Half, and she is going to be talking all about the benefits of working with the recruiter, whether you are an employer or you are a job seeker. And so I can tell you this is going to be a great episode, and I'm so excited to have her back. I've already got her tagged for maybe a future episode in June as well, and where she's going to give us some insights. But I am so excited. So mark your calendar for next Wednesday at 12:30 and to join Misty and I. And meanwhile, you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next week and on our next live stream.